gummies. Use this if you want to smell like Daddy.
You never had to question if you were a man, so why give your money to a corporation that doesn't know if their products are made for men? Try Jeremy Razor's hair and body products. Jeremy shampoo and conditioner are made with tea tree oil to naturally clean and restore your hair and scalp, argan oil to soften your hair and not your masculinity, and aloe vera to moisturize the hair and scalp. It's all paraben-free, sulfate-free, phthalate-free, and most importantly, 100% woke-free. Not to mention, it smells amazing. Go to jeremyrazors.com and use my special code BURNS15 to save 15% off. That's jeremyrazors.com. Use my special code BURNS15 to save 15% off.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's video, we are going to talk about the aftermath of New Hampshire. New Hampshire went through its primary, and Nikki Haley came out defeated. She lost to Trump, and liberal media is mad. Also, liberal media is mad about what Tim Scott said to Donald Trump. We'll take a look at that video. And Joy Reid is furious. Joy Reid is furious. She is saying Donald Trump has no right to run, number one, or he has no reasons to run in this election. His only reason in running in this election is to stay out of jail. So that's what we'll be discussing in this episode of Business Talks. You guys put in the chat and let me know where you're viewing from. We're about to get started.
Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. You guys put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. We do have Willie Little. Willie Little is in the building. He is saying these candidates should have waited until Super Tuesday and March 24th, 2024 to have dropped out. This is when the majority of the states get the chance to vote on the candidates of their choice. I kind of agree with you, but if you're running to all these different states, of course, some of these candidates didn't have the dollar to back them. That's why they dropped out. And the actual Iowa caucus is really, and I think Iowa and New Hampshire, they use that to determine how their future is going to look in their campaign efforts. So I think that's one of the reasons why you would drop out, because of money, and of course looking, having some type of foresight to see, okay, clearly I'm losing, so that might mean that I need to drop out. Anywho, we have Chavis Grinnard. Chavis Grinnard, St. Louis, by the way of Springfield, Louisiana. Thank you for tuning in, and greetings to everyone. So Nikki Haley, we're going to start off with Nikki Haley. A couple of days ago, prior to this New Hampshire primary, Nikki Haley was saying that she is a brown girl and she experienced racism. She was teased all the time living in a deep South because she's a brown girl. I wanted to share that particular clip with you because to me, I think Nikki Haley is trying to use the race card or identity politics running for this election. She's not saying, hey, I was a governor of a state. I was the ambassador for the U.S. I have all these accomplishments throughout my career. That's why I should become the president of the United States. No, she wants to use racism as, hey, vote for me because I experience racism too, and I know where you're coming from. Well, that's not going to work, Nikki. That's not going to work. It probably used to work in the past, Oh, she's a brown girl. But and number two, you guys put in the chat, do you think Nikki Haley is a brown girl? You guys put in the chat, do you think Nikki Haley, this woman right here, do you think she's a brown girl? We're looking at her. She looks like she has olive tone skin. I would say, hey, if she wouldn't have told me she was Indian, I would think, okay, maybe she has Italian in her family. She tans really well in the sun. That's what I would have thought. But you just look like just any other white woman that could hold a tan. Now you're telling me you are Indian. Now I can see, okay, maybe she does have Indian heritage in her. But just off the rip, just saying, hey, you damn Indian, she don't really look Indian. Now, maybe she dyed, if she had long black hair and she dyed her hair black, or maybe when she was growing up, maybe she had the long black hair. Maybe that's just a stereotype, what you would see with Indians. Then I would be like, oh yeah, she looks like an Indian. But just looking at her right now, she doesn't look like an Indian. Anyway, this is what Nikki had to say. Nikki had to say this, and she wanted everybody to know that she has experienced racism.
We were the only Indian family in our small southern town. I was teased every day for being brown. So anyone that wants to question it can go back and look at what I've said on how hard it was to grow up in the deep South as a brown girl. Anybody can look at my record and see when Walter Scott was shot down by a dirty cop, how I made sure that the Walter Scott family didn't suffer because we put the first body camera bill in the country in place. Anybody can look at the fact that when we had 9 amazing souls die in Mother Emanuel Church, I did something that no Republican or Democrat ever wanted to touch, which was call for the Confederate flag to come down because it would take 2/3 of the House and Senate and was an impossible feat. I don't know what you're implying with that, but what I will tell you is saying that I had black friends is a source of pride. Saying that I had white friends is a source of pride. If you want to know what it was like growing up, I was disqualified from a beauty pageant because I wasn't white or black, because they didn't know where to put me. So look, I know the hardships, the pain that come with racism. It's the reason that I fight bullies every day when it comes to racism, anti-Semitism, or hate, and I always will. If I didn't mention slavery on that day, it's because that's an automatic. There's always been, the Civil War's always been known about slavery.
So I believe the question was because, she got a backlash because Nikki Haley, somebody posed a question to her. I can't remember what show she was on. And they asked her why, what was the reason of the Civil War? And she named all these reasons, and she didn't mention slavery. That was the main reason. So people was giving her shit about it. I don't know if she didn't mention it on purpose, but like I said, sometimes Nikki Haley is, to me, Nikki Haley is in La La Land. She's using, like I said, going back to her statement, she's using racism as a tool, like, oh, I identify with you because I'm a brown person too. Now, what she said after with the Walter Scott case and those people that died in the church when that guy went in there he shot up the church. Those are things that I would mention if I was Nikki Haley. But we're not going to sit, and let me backtrack. I hate when people use racism as a tool to say, hey, vote for me because I'm going to stop racism. And only reason why I'm saying this is because as a black person, I might not look it, but I'm 45 years old. As a 45-year-old Black person, I could count on one time where I thought I experienced racism. One time on my hand. And I grew up in the 70s and 80s in the south side of Chicago. And in that time, during that time in Chicago, there were certain areas you couldn't walk in. Certain Italian areas, you couldn't go in those areas in Chicago. And they probably still got those areas today. But like I said, racism, this boogeyman that people are so afraid of, that's not our problem in America. That's really not the problem. So I hate when I hear this rhetoric, because it sounds just like a Democrat that, oh, vote for me. I'm a brown girl just like you. Identity politics. I know what it is to experience racism, identity politics. Racism, it exists and you should be afraid of it, but you don't have to be afraid because I'm your hero. I'm going to combat racism. And that's where I'm getting at. And it gets so irritating to me when I hear this kind of stuff. No, what are your policies? Okay, if you saying I want to combat racism, but that's not what I would like to see as a president. I want to see jobs. I want to see my wealth is built. I want to make sure the educational system is fixed in our country. I want to go to work and not to have to pay 30 to 35% of my taxes, or own a business because I don't work, on my business and not have to pay $18 million in taxes, or umpteen million percentage in taxes just because I own a business. Or I don't want to see my husband working his butt off and his taxes are taken because we're over a certain dollar amount. You tax us more because we're over a certain dollar amount, because we're trying to spread the wealth. Or I don't want to be retiring at 70 because you're saying the retirement, some people are saying they're going to push up their retirement age and we won't be able to get Social Security benefits until 70. So in order for us to do that, you will have to, pay us a fair living wage. My business should be able to make a living. We shouldn't be penalized because we are U.S. business owners. And that's what I would like to hear from a president. I want to put Americans first. Not, they have a right to come over here to seek asylum. Yeah, legally they do. Not just let them in illegally and say, we got to foot the bill until they are legally accepted. That's a BS. So this is what I would like to hear a president say. So that identity politics it really irritates me. It pisses me off when I hear that kind of stuff. Okay, so this is Nikki Haley. This is what she said a couple of days before the election. Now, all respect to my wife, you look younger than me and I'm 42. Yeah, I get that all the time, but thank you. So Nikki lost yesterday. She lost in the primary. So we have liberal media. They are really upset about it. They're really upset about it. Trump gave his speech, and he was teasing Nikki Haley, and they're like really pissed off about it. But it's like, what did you expect? He whooped ass in Iowa. He's going to whoop ass in New Hampshire and all other 50 states. This man, and you like Trump or not, this man commands an audience. He's very charismatic. He commands an audience. Who do you know got 87 million followers on Twitter? So the realness of, or delusion of, other parties and other people that don't like Trump, you're mad because people like him. and you're mad at other people because they don't, because they don't agree with you. And, these talking points. Well, before I go into that, I want you to, I'm going to share with you this other video, which I thought was pretty interesting, with Joy Reid. Joy Reid, she's really upset about the whole why Trump is running. She's really upset with Trump, and because she thinks Trump is running just to stay out of jail. And it's like, no, before you decided to indict him, you already put his hat in for the bid. Now, you might be saying this is a fair argument to say, oh, Trump doesn't like to lose. Well, he's a very competitive person. That's a good argument. Now, but you're saying that he is running because he wants to stay out of jail. No, everybody knew that he was running for presidency prior to him getting even his first indictment. And everybody knows, which you should know, if at chronological order, he put his bid into the election bid in. Then all these indictments came across like 3 or 4 months later after he put his bid in. If I was just using logical common sense, I would think, oh, maybe you are trying to discourage Trump not to run. And if you didn't know Trump from a can of paint, take that out of the equation. Wouldn't you think, oh, maybe they're just trying to discourage this person not to run? What did he do? But anyway, she thinks he's trying to stay out of jail. And this is Joy Reid with her nonsense.
Election for no reason. Donald Trump is running for re-election for no reason other than that he wishes to, that he would like to stay out of prison.
I was going to say
that he would like to, that it is his only way of ensuring that he doesn't go to prison. And an entire political party that one would think would have at least some rational goals has decided that that is enough for them. The John Cornyn's of the world, the Mitch McConnell.
And I hate the way she's painting the whole Republican Party, or even people that Trump support or Trump supporters. I really, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, because you're acting like everyone that's supporting Trump is something's wrong with them. This might be your neighbor. This might be your boss. Something's wrong with all these, literally half of America. Something's wrong with them. Does that make any sense? You could agree to disagree on things, but she's literally saying that he has no aspirations for the party. And you listen to the man talk. He has several goals, conservative goals that you don't like, that you don't agree with because you're on the other side. That's what he's supposed to do. That's why his constituents are voting for him, because he's saying he's going to do X, Y, and Z, and they want him to do X, Y, and Z. They want him to represent them in the White House. So what's wrong with that? So this is really getting a bit ridiculous. I think something's wrong with Joy Reid. For her to say, oh, he has no reasons to run. Well, you could tell Trump really loves America. So that's one reason, because he sees our country going down a shithole. Well, that's a really good reason to run. Then another reason, he knows that, hey, we have a border problem. We have an education problem. We have this ideology problem where they're trying to push, transgender ideology on young children. So he sees that this is a problem. It's messing up this women's sports. So he's voicing that, and his constituents love, hey, this is what we're feeling too. So that's why he is popular. that is why people are voting for Trump. You know, and I don't know if you're voting for Trump or not, but logically, we might want to put race in it. But if you take everything and say, oh, Trump is not a Nazi, he's not a racist, all the rhetoric that they say about him, what is he doing? He's doing all the conservative things that conservative people want him to do. He talks about all the conservative things. Since he's a Republican, he's going to back Republican agenda. And that's what he's supposed to do. Anyway.
No one is fighting this, despite the fact that he has never delivered to them victory other than his own victory when he beat Hillary Clinton. After that, he has delivered to them losses of historic nature.
Yeah.
They could have, in a normal election cycle, won a huge midterm in the last midterm. They didn't, because they used his candidates, his themes, his grievances, and his triumph in the Supreme Court of snatching the bodily autonomy of 50% of the American population.
Well, and let me stop her there. He's never delivered on his promises. He lost the seats. I think it was the Senate or even the House. I think the House at the time, they was where he lost seats. Okay, well, let's think about it here. In all election cycles, you never have, oh, we have a Republican in office, we're going to all be Republicans. No, you never have the majority. It is never happened. You guys put in chat, let me know if it's happened. But literally, the last 5 election cycles, what I've been able to vote on, I don't think any party was the majority throughout the president election, besides one, Obama. And Obama, you could give him shit because Obama had a chance to replace the justice. That one lady that she was terminally ill, ended up dying in her seat. I forget what the lady's name was. Not was it Greenberg or whatever? But anyway, somebody put it in chat. Let me know what that justice was. And it was during Obama term. And he had a chance. They should have forced her out, say, hey, retire, so I could appoint somebody. But he didn't do that. So instead of paying chess, I mean, this is your party. You want, people to represent you. If you really want, your agenda pushed, you would do everything in your power to get your agenda pushed. That means have a majority of the seats in the Chief Justice or whatever those people are called. So what are we saying here? And so Trump did what he was supposed to do. He elected his conservative judges. That's what he's supposed to do. So why are people so mad about what he did his job? I don't understand that. I really don't understand that. And just to make point, they're saying 50% of people lost their bodily autonomy. Since I've been alive, I never thought, oh, if I get pregnant, I'm going to have an abortion. I never thought that. I never thought that was an option for me. I grew up in a Christian home. I wasn't a virgin. But I never thought, oh, if I get pregnant, I'm just gonna have an abortion. No, that wasn't no option. We didn't have those type of options. Matter of fact, you'd be shameful to even put that in words. So this 51% of people saying, oh, they're outraged. No, they're not. No, they were not. It's just the more people that's outraged about it, it's probably the ones that can't even have a damn baby. The ones that, oh, I'm mad. They too old to have a baby. Or they gay or lesbian. They won't have a baby. Why are you mad about abortion rights. Now, if you're saying, hey, I was a victim of abuse, sexual assault, and I really don't need this baby. Now, I could see them, hey, going down the middle and saying, or making some conceptions, oh, this is medically necessary. Now, I would be pissed off about that, but going on saying it's affected 51%, oh, he took away your rights. No, he didn't. If I get pregnant right now, I will have the baby. Okay? If at 45, I pray I never get pregnant at 45. But what I'm saying to you, people that don't use or plan their life effectively, they're not using abortion as an option. They're not doing that. They're taking some type of birth control. They're using protection when they're having sex. That's what responsible adults do. So this doesn't affect 51% of the people. I would say maybe 10 to 15% of women, they're probably pissed off about it. Maybe. And I wouldn't even say, I'd be like selective outrage, because why would you be pissed off? You have to look at your face every day saying, oh, I received the abortion. I killed something that was part of me. Anyway, I digress. Let's move forward.
And they're literally going to go willingly back into that stockade and lock themselves in with Donald Trump again, not because they have to, but because they've chosen to, because they don't have the courage to not do it. And it is fascinating to me to watch a political party make the decision to self-destruct on purpose, to go down with the man who has delivered them the greatest and most historic defeats that one could have in the modern era, and who is also promising to deliver an autocracy.
And then she used the word autocracy. Why would she use that? Because these are scare tactic words. She belittles someone that belittles another party just because you don't like their selection, you don't like their choice. To me, that is very low IQ of you, Joy Reid, because you don't like their choice. That doesn't mean it isn't the right choice for them. Anyway, so Joy Reid is mad as hell. Now, let me get to some of your chats. She talks like it's common sense that Trump supporters are bad. Yeah, that's what she's talking about.
It still hurts.
Okay, you can't get medicine right now because I just gave you some. When I get offline, I'll give you some more medicine, okay? Dwayne said McConnell, Iowa has been neocon. Thank goodness this is his last term. Exactly. Yep. For the pro-black crowd, it's time for a party change. Democratic party policies have destroyed the black children. It has. It's really destroyed us. And we're voting this same type of blue ticket because they're blue, and red ticket is because of, we're avoiding the red ticket because they got to be racist. I mean, I seen some tweets on Twitter, and it was a trending topic. They put Republicans, and all they had is like Nazis, all that stuff. Like, who's going around waving a Nazi flag? Who's doing that? You put these one-off pictures of Nazis, and then you equate that to the Republican Party. To me, it's really disgusting when you do that kind of stuff. But that's what they're doing on the internet. Anyway, Pete, Trump was loved by the left wing and until he ran against the Democrats. Thank you, Pete. Pete, you're absolutely right. Back in the day, Trump was in every rap lyric. He was rubbing elbows with 50 Cent, Snoop Dogg. Everybody in New York loved Trump. Every rapper, literally every rapper, loved Trump. You had rappers talking about, oh, when I grow up, I want to be like Trump. Like, come on now. Until he decided to run from Hillary Clinton against Hillary Clinton. And actually, him and Hillary in the Clintons, he donated to Bill's campaign. So I don't understand where this, so they had to paint him a racist because he went against Hillary Clinton. And they really got to paint him a racist because they couldn't even fathom Trump won in 2016. They couldn't even, like, I can't believe he actually won. Miss Jean says, shameful how those folks at MSNBC are so intellectually blind. Yeah, the propaganda needs to stop. VYSC 1800, this is from Twitch. Ruth Bader Ginsburg refused to retire, then passed away. Exactly. So they end up losing that spot. The Democrats could have appointed somebody, but they lost the spot because the time that she died. I think Trump ended up taking over the year after. They didn't have enough time to elect somebody or appoint somebody. D-Mac, that's why there are so many single mothers. Yeah, that is exactly why so many single mothers, because we as people, Americans, now we have a plight in the Black community, of course, is really crazy. The figures are astronomically different from our white counterparts. But as far as two-parent homes don't even exist in the Black community no more. To me, it's crazy. So we got a lot of single mothers, and then white folks are starting to catch up too. They're starting to take family not as serious, which is very shameful. It's very shameful that you don't have a father and the mother in your household. And you need more education about abortion. You do. Because a lot of times when you do these types of procedures, you might not want a child today, but what about in the future? It tears up your cervix, it tears up your uterus. So, I mean, it really does a lot of bodily harm to you, and mentally. It mentally messes you up. Miss Jean, reprobate minds or reprogram minds, I believe that you're saying, will only do the support evil, nothing new in God's creation. D-Mac is asking if I have kids. Yeah, I do. I got 2 of them. She's just making the case to vote for Trump. Yeah, she is. Anyway, so we have Joy Reid is mad as hell about Trump. That's Joy Reid. Then we had Tim Scott. Tim Scott, now Al Sharpton is mad at Tim Scott because this is what, let me see if this is the full. This is what Trump said after he beats Nikki Haley.
It's Tim Scott.
Okay. No, I don't want to go to that. Let me just find it real quick. I just want to find it, the full clip. I didn't think nothing was wrong with it because I believe Tim Scott is a stern believer of he follows God. I believe this is a true devoted Christian man, and I believe he believed what he said, and I don't see what he said was a problem. But old race baiter Donald Trump, I mean, not Donald Trump, old race baiter Al Sharpton hates Donald Trump. So he thinking Tim Scott is, what do you call it? Cooning. That's what you would call it, cooning. Actually, anybody that's on the conservative type of views, they say you're cooning. And I don't agree with that. I just agree. I think you're cooning when you're blindly voting for people and you don't even know what you're voting for. That to me, that's cooning. But this is what Donald Trump said.
So this is, which is hard. I mean, did you ever think that she actually appointed you, Tim? And think of it, appointed, and you're the senator of his state, and she endorsed me. You must really hate her. No, it's a shame. It's a shame. Uh-oh.
I just love you.
No, that's why he's a great politician. That's why he's a great politician.
So he was talking something about Nikki Haley, and Tim Scott was like, no, I believe he was saying, I don't hate nobody. I just love you. That, to me, that's not a problem. But, you had Al Sharpton was really upset about that, what he said. He was really upset about why would Tim Scott say that it's just you're the lowest of the low to actually stroke somebody's ego. That's what they call it, stroking somebody's ego, or grovel to this white man, this white supremacist man. So this is what Al Sharpton said about what Tim Scott said to Donald Trump.
And he will be the nominee. And I think that he's demanding people bow to him. There are few moments in my life I've been more embarrassed than to watch Tim Scott, who, I know Tim and I are both practicing Christians, but I don't know if he could pray like that to the other side. I mean, it was humiliating to watch what Tim Scott did as a sitting senator. And one time it wasn't even, he wasn't even on the script. He interrupted Trump to pay homage. So I had to say that because it's bothered me all night.
He's doing it right here. It says, it's just that I love you, Mr. Trump. It's not that I hate Nikki Haley. It's just that I love you, from Senator Scott.
It's not a good day in my life to watch Tim do that. I mean, to think that we fought to see people like him, black, become high elected in the South, and to do that, he has a right to be a Republican, he has a right to do Donald Trump. But to do it in such a way that is so humiliating was troubling. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to be as nice as I can. I think that
and I don't know. You guys put in the chat. I'm not for sure if this was humiliating to Tim Scott, or this is a cringy moment. I'm not for sure. I didn't get that. But I did find a clip of Tim Scott. He is saying why he endorsed Donald Trump. Okay. I don't want this to be like, oh, you vote for Donald Trump. I'm not trying to persuade you or dissuade you to vote for Donald Trump. But he has clear, definitive answers on why he vote for or why he supports Donald Trump. And I think these are very good reasons why you should support Donald Trump, or why he even should support Donald Trump. So let's listen to what he had to say.
Commander-in-Chief. What did you learn about President Trump that makes you believe that he will be the right man for the job for the next 4 years?
Yeah, so when I offered opportunity zones, I created opportunity zones to bring resources into the poorest communities of this country. He took a look at it and he said, as a developer, I get this. This will work. And he supported it within 24 hours. Because of that, we were able to get that across the finish line, and it became law. When I wrote the personal side of the tax code, I was thinking about my mother, who was a single mom, thinking about how could I reduce her taxes. We were able to reduce it by 70%. We were able to return to the American people over $4,000 as we committed. Who made that possible? Well, writing it was good. Signing it was better. That was President Trump. When I think about the funding for historically black colleges or focusing on rare blood diseases like sickle cell anemia, who helped champion that cause with me? President Trump. When I think about the most inclusive economy in the history of the country, as far as I can tell, 7 million jobs, 2 out of 3 going to women and minorities. That was President Trump. Wages growing at the bottom quintile more than the top quintile. President Trump. World peace. I'm not a beauty pageant, but world peace. The dude delivered world peace. President Trump.
Now, and given that.
So I believe these are clear, concise things that Donald Trump put in action in his term. I mean, whether you like it or not, this is what he did. Now, Donald Trump is a businessman. Some people say, oh, he's not a great businessman because he filed for bankruptcy or whatever. Well, you know, sometimes to get it right, you got to try businesses out a whole bunch of times. Look, well, I ain't never filed for bankruptcy, thank God, but I've tried many of different businesses, and some of them did me well and some of them didn't. But one thing I do appreciate is since Donald Trump is a business person, he understands what it is to be a small business person. He's not a small business person, but he understands the mind of what a person is trying to achieve, to, you know, gain a wealth or create places of work for, you know, your community. And to do that, you have to have some type of advantages. And with that opportunity zone, I thought that was a great thing. But people don't mention that type of stuff. They always mention, oh, he abolished abortion. Well, he took credit for it because he had the majority of justices in seats. But he didn't per se abolish the abortion. You know, they took a look at it, and it's the vote supersede the abortion, Roe versus Wade. So, like, when we're talking about voting for someone that has the ability and they go behind what they said and they deliver on their promises, how can you get mad at that? You know, how can you get mad at a person just because you don't like the promise that he delivered? You can't get mad. Even with Joe Biden, he ran on delivering, forgiving student loans. He's still trying to forgive student loans. How can you get mad at that? Because he's doing what he said he was going to do, you know, even though he's failing at it. I think I know one person that got their loan forgiven. But this is all hearsay. I don't know them personally. But one person told me that a friend of a friend got their loan forgiven. Now, but it keeps on getting overturned because they're saying it's unconstitutional. But the other forgiveness, you know, he's running on that. He probably will get taken credit for that. But if you was a civil servant, you could get your loan forgiven prior to Biden getting in office. You just got to fill out the paperwork. You know, you just got to fill out the paperwork. So I don't understand why people are getting mad at Tim Scott, number one, for endorsing Trump. I don't understand that whole thing. Now, I wanted to get back on Nikki Haley. Now, they said Nikki Haley Nikki Haley, 70% of her vote was unregistered Republicans. Unregistered or undeclared that voted for Nikki Haley. And the logic of them saying this is kind of odd. I got something else out of it, but I want you guys to listen to what they're talking about.
Challenging with that. And David, you're getting more on the ways that Republican primary voters don't see eye to eye?
Yes, that's right, Jake. In these exit poll results, you see a Mars and Venus universe for Haley and Trump coalitions here. Take a look at the numbers. Among Trump voters, 70% of them, according to our exit polls, are registered Republicans. Donald Trump, his support, 27% of his voters are registered undeclareds or independents. 3% were unregistered before today. Look at how that compares with Nikki Haley. It's a complete reversal. It's an alternate universe. Among Haley voters, 70% are registered undeclareds. Only 27% are registered Republicans. We also see this when asking people, did Joe Biden legitimately win the 2020 election? Which he did. Among Trump voters, 80% say no. They say it wrongly. No, Joe Biden did not legitimately win the 2020 election. Haley voters, it's the complete opposite. 83% of Haley voters say correctly that Joe Biden was the legitimate winner in 2020. Only 15% of her voters say wrongly that he was not. This is the Trump-Haley Mars-Venus election tonight in New Hampshire.
All right, David, thank you so much. Interesting stuff. Anderson, quite a thing to behold, all those people.
It's not a rocket scientist. You don't have to be rocket science to figure out. The people that voted for Haley is Democrats, and they did that on purpose because they don't want Trump on the ticket. They were actually trying to beat Trump. They figure if enough Democrats vote in the primaries, Republican primaries, we could just really win the election because it's a shoe win for Biden. You guys put in the chat, do you think and I know this is way far reaching because this is what the news media is pushing, if Nikki Haley was the actual Republican elect for presidency and she goes against Joe Biden, do you think Nikki Haley actually has a chance against Joe Biden, even though the polls are saying so? You guys put that in the chat. I would like to really think, to really understand where people heads are at on this matter. I think just like Hillary Clinton, they're gassing everybody up. But I really don't think we want to see a woman as the president. I really don't think people would want to see that. I don't think she has a chance against Joe Biden or against anybody else. She's third. Literally, she's third against her own party. What do you think she would be? What rank would she be against Joe Biden, the superstar? Now, and he's really not a superstar. Only reason why he won, we could say two reasons why he won the presidency in 2020 is because they cheated. They didn't count all the ballots, or they double counted ballots in some of these states. And people got tired. If you say he won fairly, people really was tired of Donald Trump rhetoric. That's what I believe. So Joe Biden, he's really not a superstar per se, a Democrat superstar. He's no Obama or anything like that. He's not. But I don't think he will lose against Nikki Haley. I just don't think he will lose against her. So this is all a tactic. To me, they are trying to act like they're so surprised that Democrats came out to vote for Nikki Haley. No, this is a planned attack. They're trying to vote strategically to not get Trump. So Trump will lose in this state. So Nikki will have more electors. I mean, come on now. That's just common sense. Anyway, they're just trying to, this is a surprise. No, it's really not a surprise. Okay, so that's all I got to say about that. New Hampshire, it will go down in the history books. Of course, Donald Trump won that. Donald Trump won it. Are we surprised? No. And you could see this is going to go on for the next, what is it? They got 48 more states. This is going to go on. 48 more states. We're going to see Donald Trump will be in the primaries. He will be the winner of the primaries. One last thing, Rachel Maddow. Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow they have this weird obsession with Donald Trump. And they say really odd things about Donald Trump. It's kind of like, okay, I'm just going to put this out there to see if people will believe this. That's how I feel. Like they don't give no forethought of what they're saying. Some of the stuff they say doesn't make sense. Just like Joy Reid just said, he really doesn't want to run. Well, why would he spend all his money to run? I mean, come on now. This man spent, and then you try to sue him. He might be broke. But, Letitia James trying to get $373 million out of his ass. So he doesn't take any salary. Last time he was in the White House, he didn't take any salary. So what does he have to gain? Not a damn thing. But they say these weird things. This is what Rachel Maddow said about Donald Trump.
Most loyal people. I mean, let's just be really clear about this, right? So Trump saying tonight, after having won the New Hampshire primary, which he has done twice before, having then gone on to say that's not enough. You can't just claim credit. You have to claim credit. You have to falsify the election results in the two times that you lost the state, is a form of reality bullying in a way. And he's done this around Iowa as well. So, for example, he doesn't have bragging rights about winning the Iowa caucuses. He lost the Iowa caucuses in 2016 to Ted Cruz. But after winning the Iowa caucuses this time, he said, it's really great to have won it for three times in a row. Yeah. And he knows that it's not true, and he knows that everybody listening to him knows that it's not true. It's like his insistence on the date of the Spanish flu epidemic, or his insistence on what the hurricane track was going to be that he had to draw in with a Sharpie. It's an exercise in bending reality to his will and insisting that others follow. It's an exercise in making people who love him denounce reality and endorse his view instead as a form of fealty, as a form of loyalty. And it's a way of breaking the truth in our country and showing that his most loyal people will do that in a performative and effacing way.
Now, did you hear the words? Now, Donald Trump, you might say, oh yeah, he talks a lot of shit. Sometimes he do go off on the deep end, start talking stuff that nobody really, can relate to. He likes to or fabricate. If you call Donald Trump, he would like to fabricate some of these things. Okay, that's neither here nor there. But the words that she used, did you understand? She's saying that the people that follow Donald Trump, they love him so much, they really are willing to bend reality to his reality. Okay, so what about this liberal party, even progressive party, they like to bend reality to their reality. Just if we could take, and I hate to keep on going back to the LGBTQ, LGBTQ, is it LGBTQ? But anyway, those acronyms. Okay, you have a person that says, oh, I'm a woman, and they're actually a born male. You're wanting me to bend the reality of myself, of what is reality, to say, oh yeah, this is a female. So you want me to discount science and what I see, a beard, a 5 o'clock beard, Adam's apple, and say, oh yeah, she's over there, or sir. If I accidentally call you a sir and you get mad at me. So don't you think that's a type of mental illness? This is what they're pushing. They're trying to be, hey, we want to change our driver's license to say X as the female or X as the sex on our license because we wasn't born whatever gender we're trying to portray ourselves as. So we're going to put X on our driver's license. And I think they're able to change, in some states, they're able to change their birth certificate too. So literally, you're trying to bend reality into your reality. Who gives a damn about the Spanish flu that happened in the 1600s? Who cares? Or 1700 or 18. Look, I got it wrong. It might have been 1900. Who cares? Who cares about that? But we're talking about now. Oh, there's no open borders. And you got 10 million people that came here since Joe Biden's been in office. And you're saying Donald Trump is trying to bend reality? No. No, the reality is that you want other people to see the world as you see it. You want people to say, oh, it's sunny outside and really it's raining shit. That's the reality of the situation. Even with Bidenomics. Oh, we're decreasing whatever. We increase so many jobs throughout the country. The highest in the year. Yeah, that very well be true. But the year prior, we had a damn pandemic. So, of course, you increased the jobs to whatever level that when Trump was in office, when the economy was booming. So stop trying to say, oh, Trump is he's bending reality and everybody's just blindly following him. No, you act like Trump supporters don't have any common sense. That's what really irritates me. No, we have common sense. We see what's going on. CNN reports it. MSNBC, they don't never talk about the border crisis, but it is a border crisis. All the mainstream media is reporting on this border crisis. All the mainstream media is reporting on how they're trying to change this transgenderism to get kids to be able to decide their gender. That's on the mainstream media. I haven't heard much talk about it lately, but this is what people are screaming and shouting about. And you're trying to bend reality to see what you want us to see. And it's like, no, this is not factual. We see it in front of our eyes. So it affects us every day. Anyway, I said that all to say, Joy Reid invited Moms for Liberty. And this is back on pushing books into the school where they shouldn't have any place in the school. Joy Reid, like I said, when she debates you, it seems like she's going to say stuff that has nothing to do with what they're talking about. Or it does, but it really doesn't have nothing to do with the point that the lady's trying to get across, or man trying to get across. And she has little forethought of, okay, a good punchline would be this. I want you guys, this is about a 7-minute video. I'm going to, cut into it, but just really listen to Joy Reid about how loony she is. She's trying to bend reality and make you feel like, and she was literally trying to gaslight this lady, but she was doing it wrong. Gaslight this lady to say, oh, you're right. I don't know so-and-so. It had nothing to do what the topic was. The topic is, should they have these types of books in the school library? Okay. And she's going to tell you what the book is.
This book, which gives a personal experience and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read. What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? That's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No, we're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
So now you've asked me a question.
Sure.
I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Aren't Blue?
You're asking me right now.
You just gave me very specific information about this book, so you're presenting yourself as somebody expert.
It's the gentleman.
Hold on. Who's the main character in the book?
The main character is the author.
What's his name?
George, I believe, is his first name.
Because you're giving me very specific information that is.
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You just remembered very specific names.
Joy.
Here's my question.
We're talking about.
This is what I'm saying. She asked a very okay. Who gives you the right to say, or what expertise you have, Moms of Liberty, to say these books do not belong in public schools? What gives you the expertise? Well, let me pose a question to you. I'm ad-libbing. This is what Moms of Liberty said. Well, what place does a person getting sodomized by their adults family member, the R word, by the adult a family member, and experience, they talked about their sexual experience and putting on strap-ons. What place does that have in the school library? Do you really want your children to learn about that? That's basically what Moms of Liberty said. Then Joy Reid came back. Oh, who wrote the book? Does it effing matter, Joy? Joy, it doesn't matter who wrote the damn book. Why would you want your child to read a book about sexual deviant, sexual abuse? Why would you want your child to read about that? And not saying that because it was a gay thing. No, this is a sexual act that was violent, a violent assault. Why would you want your kid to learn about that? This is what she said after. Okay, so they're going back and forth. This is what she said.
You didn't answer my question.
No. I'm going to answer your question.
I would love.
She's never going to answer her question. She's going to bring up some other crap.
To hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm interviewing you and you're not interviewing me. So let's just make sure it's a conversation. Okay,
great.
So what I'm saying to you is that as you are not an expert in this book,
I don't have to be an expert.
I don't have to be an expert, Joy. This is common effing sense. I don't have to be an expert of a psychiatrist of sexual abused children to say, hey, I don't want my children to learn about that kind of stuff. Do I have to be a psychiatrist to say that? You guys put in the chat, if you have children, are you psychiatrists? Do you think a psychiatrist will know more what your children should have, and I'm talking about in this sexual nature, than a psychiatrist does. Now, we're not talking about your kid has some type of mental illness or anything like that. I'm talking about just a normal everyday kid. They tell you, oh, this is healthy. They should learn about this sex stuff. This is very healthy. What the hell would you tell the psychiatrist? Mind your own damn business. I don't want my kids learning about it. You guys put it in chat. Let me know. Even if you don't have the kids, let me know. Would you take a psychiatrist's advice saying, oh, yeah, this is very normal to learn about sexual abuse in the public schools and about strap-ons? By the way, let's talk about strap-ons, because this is a very healthy and sexual type of relationships.
No,
Hold on a
dildos
aren't appropriate for public school. I mean, come on, let's get real.
Is a full context story, as you said, of the author's experience. Why is it your right, or a Moms for Liberty activist's right, to say that a parent who wants their child to have access to this book, which gives a personal experience of this author, why doesn't a liberal parent, for instance, or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it your right to say they can't?
So, again, we're talking about incest, rape, and pedophilia.
And each parent, each parent has to decide what is appropriate for their child to read. So I want you to answer. I'm going to ask it one more time.
Right.
What is your right to tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story? Why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
If a child feels seen by this story, that means that they have been the victim of a predator. That means that they have either been raped by a family member, they've experienced
and your proof of that is what?
You just said that if a child feels seen by this story.
You're now making assumptions about it.
Joy, but if
you see how Joy tried to say, oh, if they have been seen by this story. So are you saying kids wanted to be sexually abused? I want to be sexually abused. That's being seen. Moms for Freedom. She's a Tiffany Justice. I really like the way she handled this interview, because when she responds to Joy Reid, she's thinking like, is this lady kind of crazy? Because why would you say a child will identify with this type of behavior? And if they read this story and it's an uplifting story and they say, oh, I identify with this, well, you might want to come back in on your parenting skills, because you don't know your child has been sexually violated. You don't really know your child. You're not paying attention. This is very disheartening for Joy Reid to be acting in this manner. I'm going to let this play through before I give my talking points, because I have this is why I would never, ever. It got to be a cold day in hell. They better have some really, really good, agendas for me to say, oh, I will support progressive and the Democratic Party. So I'm just going to let this play.
Child has been raped. We should do a lot better than put a book on a library
You're literally
shelf.
creating a story behind a child that you don't know. Let me show you a form. This is a form that can be obtained in Broward County, Florida. Okay. I'm going to show it to the audience, and then I'm going to show it to you. Okay. This is called the opt. Yeah, please. I'm going to hand it to you. So it's called the opt-out form.
Okay.
An opt-out form would allow any parent, because you said you are in favor of parental rights.
I am.
It would allow any parent to opt out of their child being able to take books out of the library without their parents' permission.
Okay.
So that Moms for Liberty, why not advocate that every school in America have an opt-out form so that a parent who doesn't want their child to access a book like All Boys Aren't Blue, that they can make that choice? Because then each parent, including a liberal parent, a black parent, a parent who wants their child to read a book about African-American history, then they get their
we want
rights.
children to read books.
Why
about
not just
African-American
opt
history,
out
so.
for yourself rather than tell other parents what they can and cannot?
First
have
of
their
all,
children
I
read?
think what you're talking about here is a wonderful step in the right direction. We should be having conversations about this. This is about local control. A lot of these decisions are made at the local school board level. And that's where these decisions should be made. And there should be vibrant conversations about what's happening in our public schools and what kids have access to. Joy, however, maybe we could just put all the books with all the graphic sexual content, the dildos, the rape, the
I'm sorry.
Let's do
I'm so sorry.
Let's do a back room. Let's put a curtain up in the library
First
like
of all,
they used
hold
to
on.
do.
One moment.
in the video
One moment.
stores. Remember
The
when we were
books that
little
Moms
and you
for
would go to the
Liberty-
video store?
The books that Moms for
and they
Liberty.
put those
The
books,
books that Moms for
videos
Liberty.
with pornography.
I know that you. I've seen.
We could just do that in
I
the
have
public
seen
library.
tapes of
Does
what
that
Moms for
sound
Liberty does,
appropriate?
and you all go into school board meetings
Joy,
and you
this
read
is a
graphic stuff.
disingenuous conversation.
No, it's not.
There's America used to understand that there's something called age-appropriate content.
Right, and here's my
We have
question again.
ratings on movies.
Again. Ruby Bridges Goes to School is on the list of books that Moms for Liberty has attempted to have removed.
Absolutely not.
It absolutely is. Let me ask about the people who are making the decision for other parents.
And she said, Beloved. Have y'all seen that movie? I wouldn't want my kids to read it. Beloved. Oh my God. That shit was crazy. They had sexual violence in there. They had Often Yourself in there. Really crazy stuff. Why would you want your kid to read that? Anyway, just because it was a black movie, maybe that's racism.
It's because you have not answered yet why a liberal parent or an African-American parent
We
can't
have
say
parents who are
Why are you grouping up African-American with liberal? Don't do that. You're trying to act like we don't have the same viewpoint as a concerned mother. Stop doing that, Joy. Don't group me up with you. Don't do it. You sound really ridiculous.
Democrats who are members of our organization.
But you're still trying to make decisions for all the kids. Here are some of the parents that are filing, or some of your advocates. Bridget Ziegler, the Moms for Liberty co-founder, the wife of the recently ousted Florida Republican Party chairman, Christian Ziegler, who allegedly was involved in same-sex threesomes. Mrs. Ziegler was removed from the school board at which she was a leader. You've had
She wasn't removed from the school board.
Okay, you have Lauren DePaula. She was making book ban requests in Alachua County, but then records show that she and her husband didn't live there. They'd sold their home in that county. Carrie Blair in Tennessee, who was arrested for property theft charges after allegedly stealing from Target, skip scanning in Target. Why should those three people get to make decisions about what other children should be able to read? Other parents' children should be able to read.
Do you know that I served as a school board member from 2016 to 2020?
Are you going to answer my question?
Yeah, I'm
because
going
we don't
to.
have an endless time.
Joy, I'm going to answer your question, but I need you to understand that when I was an elected representative, I would sit on that dais. And how dare I, sitting there as an elected representative, judge a parent when they would come to the podium to speak and advocate for their child? Because as we started this conversation, we'll end it. Every parent has a fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children. And I would not stand in judgment,
let us end on a point of agreement.
About a parent's education level, their sexual orientation, their race, their religion. That is not what America is about.
I'm going to answer. I'm going to ask my question, Ms. Justice. Mrs. Justice. That's
Thank you.
If a parent believes that their child should be able to read Ruby Bridges,
then buy it. Buy it, Miss Parent. Oh, I want that available in the book. No, this is the library. We have certain things that we make available, but we're not, okay, go to the public library. But in the school library, come on now.
We believe that that children should be able to read.
Then how can Moms
American
for Liberty
hero.
insist that the school board take that book away and then say that a parent who wants the child to be able to read it must purchase it? That's essentially putting a tax on parents who want their children to read the book. Your kids get to have books for free that you agree with, but children who want to read, or parents who want their children to read books you don't like, have to purchase it. That doesn't sound
Joy,
fair.
Did you know that in the city that we're sitting in, only a quarter of children are reading on grade level.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
And so while we're having this conversation about books in libraries,
two
things should be happening.
That's a great point.
We should be talking about literacy rates and the fact that America's kids are not learning how to read, and we should be having vibrant conversations about what books should be in libraries.
Absolutely.
You can't get mad at that lady. So I'm glad she brought that up. Kids can't even, only a quarter of kids there, I believe they're in DC, a quarter of kids can read at grade level. That's really sad and disgusting. And Joy Reid is trying to promote books with sexual deviant stuff in there. One thing I do not like about progressives and the Democrat Party, really, and it's really progressives, not so much the Democrat Party. A progressive, I will say Joy Reid is a progressive. If you look at all the progressives, the Black progressives, they have this persona and this almost like a crazy cuckoo logic where, hey, we have to stick up for a certain group of people, which is nothing wrong with that. But then they discredit what they are. And my example is Cori Bush. And this many of examples, but Cori Bush. Cori Bush, they was asking her, no, she put a post a long time ago on her Twitter account. She no longer and she actually birthed two babies. She referred to women that gives birth to birthing people. Like, this agenda is so far, it's getting out of control that you have Black women, cuckoo women, saying, hey, you know, if he feels like a man, he should be able to play sports. If he feels like a woman, he should be able to play sports with women. He should be able to get a sex change. That senator or representative that's in California, Black woman, she wrote a bill saying, hey, you need to affirm your child's identity. I did it with my child. My child was 5 or 7, and you should get punished if you don't affirm your child's identity. Like, really, really, they're not saying, oh, we have like abortion rights. Oh, we should have these rights. And they do talk about that. But like the really extreme agenda, that's what they push. That's what they're on this bandwagon, just the most extreme agenda. They're on this bandwagon and they sound batty, nuttier than a fruitcake. And it's literally all the Black women. All the Black women. All the Black women that's in the representatives, they're pushing this agenda, which is like way far from feminism. Okay, you believe in women's rights and all that stuff. But then you say, oh, I want women's rights. Then you say, oh, if he feels like a man, he should be able to play sports with women. If he feels like a woman, he should be able to play sports with women. I don't know if you guys remember I think it was Cori Bush, Ayanna Pressley, AOC, that other Jasmine. They were like really sounding crazy about this. Oh, if they feel like a woman, they should be able to play sports. You're taking away a child experience. No, well, if you're a man, you're taking away from a woman experience. You know, and it's always these Black women. You guys put it in the chat and let me know if I'm going in the wrong direction. And that's why Joy Reid, I don't really understand Joy Reid, because she has this, you're going to fight tooth and nail and die on this hill about, it sounds crazy. The woman posed the question, okay, when is it right for kids to learn about sexual assaults? The actual act, giving you a vivid description about the sexual assault, and learning about strap-ons and dildos, learning about that act in descriptive details. Because this guy gave a detailed encounter of, his life growing up. And it starts off with sexual abuse. When is it okay for your child to learn about that? Okay, your child, you should be talking to your kids. Okay, if anybody ever touch you, this is your body. You don't have to let nobody touch you. Learn your space. This is your space. Okay, that's logical. But you're talking about a detailed sexual encounter and you want kids to have access to it? My child right now, he reads chapter books. I end up downloading the Audible book for this thing that she's talking about. Boys are sometime are not blue. Just to hear the stuff that they're saying. I believe since it had my kid wouldn't probably pick up because the guy looked kind of fruity on the picture. But he did read I forget what the book is called. This was 2 years ago. It was a pretty big book, 300-page book. And it had one character in it, and he was gay. And I remember my son asking me, "Oh, why is he talking like that?" I said, "Well, he's probably gay." And he was like, "Oh, what is gay?" And my son is 10 now, but he was 8 at the time when he read the book. I said, that's a kid that or a boy that would like a boy. I had to go through this whole explanation of what that was. So since my kid reads chapter books, I'm always worried about, okay, is he going to pick up a book that I'm going to have to read before him? And luckily for me, my kids is real boyish type boys, so they read stuff like Star Wars and stuff like that. But I don't really pay too much attention to what they're reading in that aspect because they pick up boy stuff. But I could just imagine him being 8, it will have an interesting picture on there. Oh, he might pick that up, or my youngest son, he might say, "Oh, this is an interesting cover. Let me pick this up." And they're talking about, sex, a sexual assault. Very terrifying stuff. I don't think kids should learn about that. Now, back to the 25% reading level. Thank God, I'm very fortunate that I have the wherewithal to make sure my kids read every day and stay on top of them with their reading. So I'm very fortunate. I thank God every day I have good kids. I thank God I have a husband and a good family and stuff like that. But I could just imagine, we're arguing about this. We're arguing about what kids should read and what books should be available to kids, even with the CRT. But your kids can't read. Your kids can't read. So why wouldn't we be fighting about that? And these are Black kids. And you notice how Joy would try to make it a race thing. Why can't Black parents say this? Why don't we have, or a liberal parent say this? No, but I don't care if you're a liberal or a Black parent. I'm pretty sure they all have the same sentiment that they don't want their kids reading about this sexual deviant stuff.
Well,
So
after the video, could you see if Randall texted you about the
Okay, go lay back down. I'll check. So this sexual deviant stuff. But anyway, that's all I gotta say. D-Ray said trans men can have children. Yeah, trans men can have children because they're women. You're absolutely right on that. MC007, why do they have to introduce the book to the public schools and just keep it at home? Well, Joy Reid tried to make a point. You're bringing more tax on the kids. If you're an avid reader and you want your kids to be avid readers, you go to the library. Our kids we go to the library once a month for them to pick out a book, and then we got a Barnes and Noble card. So you're, like I said, you're making a fuss about nothing. This is nothing to argue about. When your main issue is your damn kid can't read. That's what you should be fighting about, Joy. And I love how she pulled that statistic up. NBC regraphic that whole interview. This is the real interview. Thank you for posting this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you. The pay to be progressive. I like to think that's what's happening, because how can you denounce yourself as a woman? You're referring to yourself as birthing people? No, I'm a woman. Or a cis woman? No, I'm a woman. Oh, and you're having this fight about strap-ons and dildos. And you think it's okay for kids to read that? Or having a fight that, oh yeah, kids should be able to pick out their genders. You're literally having a fight about changing puberty blockers. And mind you, I'm not saying anything about 18 and up. I'm saying about young people, 18 and down. And I think your brain still develops after 20, before or after 18, up to 25. I think your brain is still developing. I think you don't have enough sense to make cognitive, long-term decisions until you're like 25. Unless you're like old school, you got an old school mind and brain. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because you're going to tell me I can make a choice about my gender. Okay. We're going to die on this hill and say, no, give these kids the right to make the choice about the gender, but they can't sign up for the military. You won't even allow, I just saw that kids can't even work full time. You won't even allow kids to work full time if they're under 17, 16, 17 in some states. You don't allow them to work. They can't drink. They can't smoke. All those things that adults are able to do, okay? And then number 2, puberty blockers. If you look the history of puberty blockers and what they did to people, they usually give puberty blockers. They use puberty blockers for people that have a history of sexual assaults on other people. Like they're in this psych ward and they're trying to cure them of their desires to stop doing the R word to people or doing the M word to people. It decreases their sexual appetite. The same drug that they give these kids to say, hey, I want to change, do the puberty blocker so I won't grow into adult male or adult female. These are the same medicines that they give to sexual offenders. So why in the world would you or you think this is a logical decision? And a lot of time these puberty blockers, well, not a lot of times, 99.9% of the time, these puberty blockers are irreversible. So once you take it and you pass puberty, you can't go get off of puberty blockers and say, oh, let me go through puberty. No, you don't. You see so many horror stories. So my only point is, hey, we just need that progressive die on the hill. Hey, I want to die on this hill and say, hey, this is what we should be doing. I'm going to stand up for these rights. And it's totally the wrong thing to do. You're just discounting you as a woman. It just doesn't even make any sense to me. Or you having children. Anyway. So that's it for our today's business talks. You guys tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow, I believe we're going to be talking about immigration. Okay. I want to share something with you. Monday, our talk was about an unnamed person. I'm just not going to even say his name. For the village of Dalton, the administrator for the village of Dalton. And that you guys do me a favor. If you haven't signed this petition, I want you to go and sign this petition to get him out of office. On that video, which they took it down, they took it down because I guess this guy said it was sharing identifiable information about him. Okay. And I uncovered, well, he's filing bankruptcy. He only revealed one of his place of employment. And I also uncovered Keith has an extensive criminal record. So they decided to take it down. But my whole purpose of this, showing people this, is because the village of Dalton is in some trouble. They're going to be in some financial trouble. This guy doesn't have the financial acumen to take care of his own finances. How in the world is he going to make decisions for a whole village, a whole township? He has access to a credit card, and I think his fund is like $30,000 a month he could spend. We don't know. They don't have the credit card receipt, so we don't know what he's spending it on. But we know on his bankruptcy, personally, he owes everybody. Specifically, he had about 10 credit cards on his bankruptcy that he's trying to get discharged. Okay, so a person in that type of position shouldn't have anything. They should be in good financial standing. I don't think they should have access to any credit cards. And given his background, his criminal background of theft, I don't think he should have any dealings with any finances, because apparently you have a thievery problem. So that's my own personal opinion about him. Please sign this petition. Sign this petition. Save the village of Dalton from one of their villains. I could say one, because we still got Tiffany Henyard in there. And if the law doesn't come or enforce her out or arrest her, they'll be voting her out. Okay, so save this person or save this village. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, the warrior And now Freeman has a credit card with the biggest available limit he has ever had at $200,000, and he won't spend any on himself. Yeah, I'll be watching when they come get him with cups. That's crazy. How did he get a credit card with $200,000 limit on it? And the village, I guess, let him have. Well, that's part of his job. He's the village administrator. Oh, and another point I want to point out. Okay, in this video, I uncovered where Keith is really a 1099 employee. So he really shouldn't have the village administrator. Really shouldn't be the village administrator because village administrator should be a city employee, not a 1099, not a contractor. Contractors shouldn't have access to credit cards. So that's another thing that I covered. It came to light where WGN got a hold of my video and went to the township meeting and was questioning them about the things that was in my video, and they canceled the meeting. A little birdie told me that. That was yesterday. So the video is still up there, not on this channel, but on my other channel. If you guys want to view it, just go to Chawanne 2.0. Okay. And thank you everyone for tuning in once again. I am sending all my good to you. The Warrior, they showed the balance is now $176,000 in one of the meetings. What? And this is what I'm saying. This is why I said he shouldn't have any access to credit cards. Kennard, the DJ, he's out there buying white girls cocaine and crab legs. Stop it. He might say, I might think the way his bankruptcy was set up, he owed so many people and he makes a lot of money. I think he probably have some type of problem, like gambling problem or drug problem. That's the only thing I can think of. He doesn't pay people back. He got all his cars repossessed. I'm assuming that the car that he's in now probably get repossessed because he doesn't like paying his bills. But anywho, that's all I'm going to say about him. You guys, I'm sending all my good to you, and I will talk to you tomorrow.